Well, welcome everybody. It's always great to see you folks all in one place. Putting this all together, it was a chance for me to reflect about everything we've done in the past year. I mean, kind of take stock. It's pretty incredible, actually. And so I hope you can all take it in, think about what we've done in the past year, what you've done in the past year, and think about what's next. What do we want to do in the coming year? Okay, so welcome to the State of the FES Center. I'll talk about our consortium members in a few minutes. Yep, I can do that. So the FES Center, we'll start with what our values are. So our vision is to transform rehabilitation, as it says here. We do fundamental discovery and we turn them into effective rehabilitation and neurological treatments. That's our vision. The way we do that is via our mission. So we develop interventions based on neurostimulation and other kind of treatment modalities to replace or compensate for function that's been lost to an injury or disease. So that's always been kind of the fundamental core of the FES Center, remains so today. So who are we? I'm going to have to get used to this. We're all these people, all of you folks. So we're investigators from different disciplines, different departments, different institutions, and we all bring different things to the table. We use our creative, basically our expertise that's different in our experiences, which are complementary, and we use those to generate really creative and unique solutions to really challenging clinical conditions. So these are our investigators. Thanks to all of you. You guys can come in and sit down. So what's the approach that the FES Center takes? The center itself, not all of you individually. So the FES Center focuses on building an ecosystem. So we nurture a multidisciplinary research community. And we do that by attracting and maintaining the top talent in the areas of our research. We do that by partnering with institutional consortium members who have overlapping and sometimes different goals. And we help to strategically step back and take a look at what's needed out in the field. So we strategically guide research directions. These are kind of the general things that I think that I try to have the center do. More specifically, for you as investigators, we add value to the work that to the processes that you do. We provide a number of scientific support activities. We give professional development opportunities. These mechanisms that are complementary. We don't replicate what our partners do. We fill in what's missing, and we try to do things across the community. So the way we're structured is as sort of a regional research consortium. And we have core funding from, there's a new phrase there, the VA Rehabilitation Research Development and Translation Portfolio. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on in my talk, but the VA has reorganized its research activities, and that's the new home for the FES Center and all the other, which used to be RR&D centers. Now they're RRDT. Okay, big change, but I think you can handle it, huh? We're set up as a consortium, and the VA, as I said, the VA funds our core activities, and we have facilities and people that are at the Cleveland VA here, now called the VA Northeast Ohio Healthcare System. Case Western Reserve, where we are right now, is our academic partner. We have 3 civilian hospital partners. Metro Health has been with us from the very beginning. University Hospitals and University Hospitals and Cleveland Clinic have joined more recently, but that's starting to be a while ago. But we have a brand new partner too, and this is the VA Syracuse Medical Center, and I'll talk a little bit more about them, I think, next. Yes. So we have now 6 consortium members, I think I count right, yes? So our new consortium partner of not, a month or 2 ago is in Syracuse, New York. It's you guys might recognize Steve Brose, who's an old friend. He worked here in Cleveland for a long time, still has a lot of collaborations, like with Ken and with others. So Steve Brose is the Associate Chief of Staff at the Syracuse Medical Center, and he's also the Chief of the Syracuse Spinal Cord Injury and Disorder Center. Cesar Colsante is also in their SCI unit, PM&R, and he's a co-PI with Dennis Bourbeau. That's one of our collaborations. Jeffrey Henderson is a PM&R physician who's getting started. He has a CDA1 and works with Steve Brose. Steve Brose is his mentor. And Iga Rakesh is a neurologist in the spinal cord injury unit, and she's the head of the ALS Center of Excellence. So what this brings to us, our new partners, clinical access. They have a large spinal cord injury, for example, population that they serve. What it means for them is that they join a big research enterprise that they have a modest research enterprise at Syracuse. So this is a kind of a win-win for both of us. Really looking forward to seeing how this goes. So it's brand new. I don't know, a month or 2, something like that. We signed the final forms. Okay. So in terms of, again, you guys can come in and sit down. There's plenty of seats right up front here, Baloo. The executive committee is kind of, my cabinet as the director. We meet usually about once a month. And they're people that I think you probably all recognize. They're from all of these institutions, not Syracuse VA yet. We still have to make that change. But they're from our consortium partners. They're from different clinical areas with different kinds of expertise. So we have a mixture of people, and it's an interesting group. So we talk things through, and they help guide the big directions. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our operations staff as well. So everything that the contact that many of you have with the FES Center is going to be through these folks. They keep the, so to speak, trains on time for things. They help do they help ease the sort of the interactions between our consortium partners. They do VA budgets. They do the FES Center budget. They do a lot of media outreach and social media outreach. So it's Cheryl Dudek is the operation. She's back there. Deada Rocksider is here? No? She's program specialist. Lisa McKenna is up front here as public affairs specialist. Sophie Sina, is she in here? There she is. She's our new-ish biomedical illustrator. And Octavio Guzman is an intern. He's right there. There we go. So thank you for all the work you folks do. Yep. So what do we do in the FES Center? That's all about who we are and how we're structured and all that stuff. What do we do? Well, one thing that we do a lot of is neural stimulation and recording. It's been our bread and butter for a long time. Why do we do that? Just about everything, all body functions are somehow controlled by the nervous system, either directly or indirectly. And so what that means is that we can use functional electrical stimulation, which are small electrical currents that can be, if you know what you're doing, can replace natural activation and or modulate neural circuits. So we insert artificial stimulation into different parts of the nervous system to achieve a variety of different things. We've been doing this for a long time, and we're kind of the world-leading experts at this. It has a companion now. Some of our investigators are doing optical stimulation and recording at times, and that uses light and different mechanisms to activate or inactivate the nervous system. And it has different properties than functional electrical stimulation, which are advantageous in some cases. So this is like Mike Moffitt, Michael Jenkins are doing some optical things. And so keep your eye on that as well. So I like to say that FES, and I've added optical stimulation, can speak the language of the nervous system. You have to learn that language, and you have to be careful to use the right words at the right times and things like that. But that's why we do the neural stimulation and recording. Okay. Applications. So these approaches can be used for many, many, many different things. Okay, and they have been and will continue to be so, probably expanding. Okay, I'm not going to go through these, but these are stimulation applications. A lot of them started or continue in the FES Center. Some of them have moved out, but it's for hand function, arm function, sitting up straight function, bladder function, bowel function, respiratory function, recording from the brain. Many different things. So we have quite a portfolio of possibilities here, and this doesn't even touch some of the areas very well. So what can we do with our stimulation technology? Well, we can activate parts of the nervous system that aren't being activated properly. We can inactivate parts of the nervous system that are being activated abnormally. We can do motor function, we can do sensory function, and we can do neuromodulation, which is just changing circuits instead of individual neurons. It has some nice features, and now these are features really relative to other kinds of interventions like medications. We can be very precise. We can target things very precisely depending upon what you want to do, which means that you have fewer side effects. And you can also turn it on and off. You know, it's not like a medication which has to be cleared through your body. You just turn it off and it's done, usually. That's not 100% always true, but it's usually the case. And one of our secret strengths is we combine these with a lot of other complementary techniques that people have developed over many years. Surgical reconstruction techniques, physical therapy, occupational therapy, respiratory therapy, visualization techniques. The list goes on and on. We're very creative and dig deep into that toolkit to find out what's best for a particular application. And we have that kind of mentality as a center in general. What we do in broad strokes are illustrated here. These are the four on the left are sort of basic science thrusts, basic science in a broad way. This is how we present ourselves, like during our center renewal proposals and things like that. But we have brain health, which is a big category, but it includes things like stroke and Parkinson's disease and other kinds of brain-based disorders. We do a lot of pain. Pain is a rapidly growing application area for stimulation. It's been one of the biggest, but also growing rapidly as the opioid kind of issues have reared their heads. And we're expanding in that area and doing quite well. Movement restoration was the foundation, sort of the bedrock of the FES Center, still is a very strong area in the FES Center. So many of us are still doing work in that area. This is for arms and hands and trunks and breathing and many other things. And finally, autonomic restoration. So this is, I wouldn't say new, but it's newish to us, and it's still nascent in the FES Center, but it's developing. So the autonomic nervous system controls everything in your body that you aren't conscious of. I mean, that's kind of an easy way to think about it, but it's internal body and visceral functions, digestion, inflammation, many other things, okay? So that's also a developing area. We have an explicit translation and clinical dissemination focus. It's led by Chris Pulliam now, and he couldn't join us in person. He had to leave early today, but Chris is doing a lot to connect us with a lot of existing mechanisms that are around in our community and reaching out to industries and others that can help us move our discoveries into products or techniques that can be applied clinically. Okay. And last but not least, we have a very active bioethics core now. I see Mark here, Mark Alicio. This was established with our last renewal, I don't know, about 3 years ago, and starting to gain a little momentum, inviting speakers, and hopefully all of you will reach out to the member. I'll talk about the core here in a few minutes, but reach out to the people in that core. Many of your grants, if they involve invasive applications to the nervous system, are going to require a bioethics component. That's just a functional thing, but let's also take a look at the other way around. We are fertile ground for ethics research. So let's look not just for our own mercenary needs to have a bioethics side. Let's look at it how we can also move forward the bioethics field. Yeah. Okay. We do technology. We've done technology for a long time. Have an optical setup there on the left. There on the top right is the network neuroprosthesis, which can be configured. There's different kinds of modules. There's a power module, there's recording modules, stimulation modules. You can design modules as you need them. So these can be assembled in different ways into systems. So that's a very important technology. We develop nerve cuff electrodes that can be used, for example, to do nerve block for pain and other kinds of inappropriate activation. The one right here is a carbon electrode that can be used in the autonomic nervous system to record from or stimulate these tiny autonomic neurons. That's Dominique Durand's work. We use technology for interfacing to the human brain in real time, record action potentials and other kinds of local field potentials in people. And we have a whole suite of electrodes for recording and stimulating muscles for various kinds of applications. So we develop technology and we put them together in systems. And these nice diagrams are all been made by our biomedical illustrators over time. So I put them up there as if you don't have something like this for your grant applications and papers, you should. The pictures, picture tells 1,000 words or whatever. It's absolutely true. But secondly, it gives you an idea of the scope of the kind of systems we put together. You're going to see some of these things are in common. Some of them have implanted stimulators. They have various kinds of electrodes, but the applications are broad. Okay, so there's one for hand grasp and release, restoring sensation in people with amputations, blocking nerves for pain or spasticity, doing eye movement control, respiratory muscle function, spinal cord stimulation for pain, and BCI controlled FES for people with high-level spinal cord injury. These are just examples of the kinds of, we take the components that we have, some of which are common across our center, some of which are specific to your application, but we can piece them together to make different kinds of systems. I would say probably one of our best features, if not the best feature, the thing that we're really known for is moving things forward into into implementation in people to help to demonstrate the ability of clinical feasibility for people with various kinds of neurological conditions. So this slide just shows many different applications again, but instead of being devices or some system diagram, these are the people that receive those systems, and they help us learn about what we need to do better with these systems to make them more broadly applicable, and hopefully it helps them as well. So the ability to drive our applications into clinical feasibility is one of the fundamental strengths of the FES Center, and I hope it remains that way. Okay. So just a few more examples of FES applications. We have TDCS plus contralaterally controlled FES from Jamie Knudsen and David Cunningham. I can't see these very well, but I can try. Dennis Bourbeau, Steve Brose, and Ken Gustafson are doing bladder function and in the autonomic system. Sensory restoration from Emily Grachik and her team. Balance and visual perception in Parkinson's disease, that's Asif Sheikh. Reconnecting the arm and the brain is Balu Ajiboye and Emily and me and Jennifer Sweet, who's our surgeon. And imaging pain relief and pain management, that's Svetlana Pundik. So these are just examples, just to give you an idea of the kinds of things that we do. So, kind of in summary, FES Center research is highly multidisciplinary. We build teams of people that are engineers and scientists and clinicians and therapists, engineers, and we sort of feed off each other to do really good things. There are rapidly expanding clinical applications and numerous first-in-human feasibility trials. We develop neural interfaces and neural devices. We do a lot of modeling and simulation to sort of help the design process along in the earlier stages. We know also how to interact with the intact nervous system, partially preserve function, how we can use that most advantageously. And we combine neurostimulation with many other treatment modalities to impact the function, to maximize the function. Okay, so that's kind of what we do as investigators and as research teams. How do we spread the word? How do we disseminate our accomplishments and our knowledge? Well, we do that in many ways. So first of all, we have a seminar series 9 months out of the year during the academic year, and these are the speakers we've had more or less over the last year, and it's a very distinguished group. We've been very lucky. We've had a really good set of speakers, and that's going to continue. We do this live, and we do it by live stream. I know a lot of you do the live stream. Some of you do the live stream. But people all around the country and some places around the world they stream our seminars as well. So we have some impact outside of Cleveland even. So these are the ones we've done over the past year. We have some coming up. These are the folks that we have lined up so far for upcoming months. Ben He is at Carnegie Mellon. Randy Carden is a center director in the same VARRDT portfolio that we're in. He's in Iowa City. They do visual things. Alex John is a bioethicist who is coming here also from Carnegie Mellon. But I want everybody to get ready to pay attention, because in January we're going to have a symposium that's going to be entitled 5 Decades of Restoring Upper Extremity Movement with Neuroprostheses. And that's Friday, January 10th, and it's going to be at Maltz Performing Center. It'll be an all-day event. And we're still working on the exact program, but soon we're working on it. But please save the date. This will be it'll be sort of a historical review, remaining problems in doing this kind of work, and what needs to happen in the future. Okay, so it'll be a nice summary of that area. So that's kind of our outside, our outside dissemination. Internally, we're a big sort of all over the map center, and we do internal dissemination as well. And one of the ways we do that is through what we call First Tuesday. And if you haven't guessed, it's always on the first Tuesday of the month. Okay, that's our secret. And we have speakers from all around in our group in the FES Center talk about what they're doing or what they want to do or some crazy idea that they think they might want to pursue, and they just want feedback. This is much more informal. It's at the Fairmount on there at Fairmount and Cedar. They fixed the overhang now, or they just got rid of the part that was falling, if you heard about that. I went by it today. It looks, all the scaffolding's down. But it's a nice social event, and you get to talk to your colleagues and see what they're doing and give them advice. And then you can take your turn and do the same thing. Okay? So these are the ones we've had recently. The people that we have coming up, we have Mike Moffett and Michael Jenkins, and I guess they're going to talk about optical stuff, I'm guessing. And I said I would introduce the bioethics team, and they're gonna talk in December, the first Tuesday of December, if you've forgotten. And it's going to be Mark Alizio, Paul Ford, and Lauren Sankary are the 3 members of our bioethics core, and they're going to present what they can do, what they'd like to do, I guess. Mark? Yep, good. So this is our internal dissemination thing. It's kind of the primary thing. Okay. We also reach out to both, industry, but also to people in academia that might be interested in industry. So this was Chris Polium's idea, and we had 2 summer neurotech talks this past summer, where he paired somebody from industry and someone who's doing more academic research here in Cleveland to talk about. In the first one, it was about bladder function, and in the second one, it was about novel stimulation waveforms. And I have to tell you, the room was packed both times, and a lot of students from all over the place, I guess. I didn't know half of them. There were a lot of students there. So, but not only students, investigators and others. So this was kind of a pilot of this series, and obviously it went very well. So expect to see more of that. Chris did a great job. So stay tuned for that too. We reach out to veterans. You know, our core funding is from the Department of Veterans Affairs, and so we do a lot of outreach to veterans. This is local outreach. You know, there's a research poster day, a limb loss awareness day, patient experience fair, and the Akron Summer Veteran Fest. So we have presence there, and we hand out information. You know, it's really for the benefit of the veterans. You can also, if you'd like to go to these things, you can probably recruit people, if or at least try to talk, if you'd like to recruit veterans. So it's a good opportunity for that. Oops, there. Outside of our little region here, we also have worked a lot with the Buckeye Chapter wheelchair games. I mean, really the staff has done a great job, and some student groups have stepped up to help be workers at the Paralyzed Veterans of America. They do a wheelchair game at the Geneva, out at I forget the name of the place, the fancy athletic, Spire, yeah. And this year, went to New Orleans to the National Veteran Wheelchair Games, and we had a presence there as well. So we try to reach out at many levels to veterans. We are a VA center. We go to other conferences. So you can see we had presence at the Amputee Coalition meeting, at the Asia meeting, American Spinal Injury Association, and at NANS, the North American Neuromodulation Society. What's not here, Cheryl, is the Society for Neuroscience. We had a giant presence there recently, just a couple weeks ago, right? Last week, okay. I guess we'll let that one slide. But we had a big presence there in general, and it was really a good thing. So we can't go to every conference that's ever been organized, but this is what the executive committee helps me decide. Is it worth going to these meetings? It's expensive to go, especially if you have a display booth and things, but for some of these it's absolutely worth it. And so don't be shy about asking, at least, and don't be mad if we say we can't really do it this year. So last spring, the FES Center, the Cleveland Clinic, and CASE sponsored the Cleveland Pain Symposium. It was the second pain symposium, and it was at the Health Education campus, you know, the School of Medicine campus on the Cleveland Clinic campus, and it was, I would say, a rousing success. There were people that came from funding agencies. If you might look, Hunter, there's Audrey right there. So that we had people from NIH. We had people from the VA. We had clinicians, quite a few clinicians, quite a few researchers. Tom Mortimer, who just had to leave, got an award for his contributions to pain research in the past. So this was, and Carl Saab, member of our executive committee, who is, I think, in Europe, so he's not here today, but he organized it. He was the main organizer. He had a lot of help, but that was a big success. This is the Cleveland Neurodesign Entrepreneurs Workshop. Also has been going on for a few years. This year, again, Chris Pulliam has came up, stood up, and organized this. This is really for undergraduates, graduate students, young professionals, early to mid in their career, to learn about neural devices and designing them. It's based on the biodesign principles, and it's been very successful. They get all kinds of people from surgeons and people from industry to act as mentors during this, and it's been a huge success, and that's something that will continue. Chris got an R13 from NIH to run it this year, and apparently people were sort of inquiring how they could support it in the future that we're here. So that's also been a very nice thing. That's the 5th annual, so it's gained traction, I would say, and it was very, very successful and well subscribed. We do social media, quite a bit of it. So I would say the one that has had the biggest increase in recent years is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of it's more specific than X or one of these other social media things, but across the board, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, all of these have increased somewhat in the last year. We had a pretty good following already. So if you have things that you want to get out, sort of just let the field know, people that are friends, enemies, competitors, whatever of the FES Center, you want them to know something, let us know. We post these things, so we're looking for content. But rest assured, our news gets out, so we're not sitting back. And don't forget about our website. There's a ton of information on our website about our investigators, about the research programs, the staff, who to contact for different things. There's archives of multiple things. So if you need general information, that's the place. But for news, the other social media things are fantastic. Okay, I said earlier that the FES Center, we have a mission and things, but we also have sort of nuts and bolts things that we provide. So resources and services. And these are all in service to our investigators. Okay, so there's a bunch of things listed here. You don't have, no quiz at the end, but we provide administrative support, especially for VA grants. Okay, but also for interactions between the VA and other consortium members and things like that. As I said before, we develop technology. We can connect you with people that have done that if you're interested in seeing if it fits for your applications. We have facilities and some infrastructure in different of our locations at the VA. Metro has not really nice facilities. There's some facilities on the Case campus as well. Okay. We work really hard to build what's called research capacity. It's hiring people like you. How do we build up a farm system? How do we go out and recruit people that are already past the farm system? And how do we facilitate your careers? So, we sponsor and find help with career development awards and the like. We have a sort of a we partner with the management school on professional development, and that's, you take courses there and you get a certificate, and it's also we pay for that, and it's been quite well subscribed. We have regulatory and clinical support mechanisms that we pay for the CTSA regulatory core. So if you're interested in IDEs, for example, they're really good at dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure everything's in place. You still have to have somebody that actually knows what the application is to guide the content. As I said, we have bioethics core, which is active and really helpful. We can do needs assessments. We have contract with a company that will do, kind of a market outlook on different things. They can look at, well, what's the market for that? What are the needs? What are the unmet needs in that area? And you can get an outside, unbiased opinion. Whether or not you take it is up to you. It's just another piece of information when you consider going down a certain pathway, a certain application. We have statistical support. Again, we have a contract with statisticians that can help you get grants submitted, finalize a paper. I mean, if you submit a grant and it gets funded, you should have the statistician as a line item in your grant. But we will give you the first bit there to get it started. As I already emphasized, we have medical illustrations. Our medical illustrators in the back. They do a fantastic job, and I have nothing but good things to say about that. We can do outcome assessments. Are not quite. That's more about what we do because we have to report to our funders and things how we're doing. So it's more, how are we doing as a center? And I'll get to that next. We're doing pretty well. And I'm going to talk about accomplishments. Now you can all sit back and let it soak in how great we are. Okay? So by the numbers, we have 77 principal investigators, about 50-50 MDs and PhDs. Okay, we have a nice balance between the clinical expertise and the technical expertise. We also have we have 6 postdocs and 47 technical staff, and support staff for different grants for different investigators. They're trainees, students, postdocs that people train, and I already talked about our operations staff. We have 5 of those. So those are the people. Those folks, now these are underestimates, I'm sure, because it's hard to track people, and for some reason you guys don't tell us when you do, most of the time, but at least 111 publications and 6 book chapters, 1 book cover, and 87 presentations. I think we had 87 presentations in neuroscience alone, did we? It seemed like it. $35 million in funding. Now, that's not funding that comes to the FES Center. The FES Center's portion of that is like 1.2. This is what you guys do. Okay, this is the grants that come from, as you can see up there, NIH and the VA and other funding agencies. But that's a big enterprise, even just taking that into account. We do a lot of work in rehabilitation and neural devices, a lot, and we do it well. We've done it for a long time. So congratulations to all of you for that big number. I mean, it's not the dollar sign there. It's what it represents is what I really want to emphasize here. It represents a lot of excellence, a lot of hard work by all of you. We do a lot of intellectual property kinds of things too. 40 invention disclosures last year, 48 patent applications of different flavors, and 15 issued patents. So not too shabby. And this is something that we're working on making, we do this through our partners. The FES Center doesn't issue patents or submit invention disclosures, those kinds of things. But you guys do that, and we can help you. If you want to do that, we can help you figure out how to do that. I added one thing that's a little bit out of context here, but I didn't know where to add it, and I wanted to put it in. VA team. So this is a whole nother center that we have here in Cleveland. TEAM stands for Translational Education and Mentoring. Is that right, Ken? So this is a center that was funded by the BLR&D service. I don't know how it's going to go forward. Do you know, Ken?
It'll be national.
So it's going to be an enterprise. It's going to be part of the ORD, right? So that's a big deal. And what that does, it's as it says, education and mentoring. This is a national center that Ken is really running. Robert Bonomo at the VA and I are nominal co-investigators, but Ken's doing the work. And this is for training any VA investigator in the country that wants to learn about how to move their discoveries into products. And I would say it got off to a slow start, but it sounds like this year's booming a little bit. Is that right? The applications, finally, it's catching on. The tech transfer team at the VA wasn't too thrilled with it when it happened. They thought it was their job to do that, but this was done anyway. And I think they're on top. They're on the team now. Anyway, if you are interested in taking, it's like I don't know how many is it. It's like a year-long thing, once a week or something like that. Maybe not even that much. How much?
Each phase is a couple months.
Okay, so you get training, you get mentoring, and in the end you can decide, it's up to you. You get trained. It isn't like you leave with a patent or something. You learn how to do that, which has been woefully absent in the VA. Okay. We do a lot of collaborations. So Cheryl and her team put together this slide of applications from academic institutions, industrial, companies. Some of them are local, some of them are regional, some of them are national. But we really reach out to a lot of different institutions and companies to do a lot of different things. So again, congratulations. That's how we can impact the world. We can't possibly do everything that all of these entities do, and it's nice to be able to partner with them. Okay, individual accomplishments. Those were sort of the, summation. Kim Anderson Erzman was inducted into the National Academy of Medicine. That's a big deal. And congratulations, Kim. Tina Freybeck was inducted into the National Academy of Inventors. Oh, there she is. I knew she was here somewhere. Dominique Duran was giving the Engineering Innovators Award for 2024 from the North American Neuromodulation Society. Oops. Dennis Bourbeau was elected to the Board of Directors of the American Spinal Injury Association. Hunter Peckham was given an honorary Doctor of Science degree from his alma mater, Clarkson University. And he gave the commencement speech too. Very cool. Richard Wilson is now the chair of the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation at Metro Health. Emily Gratchik, Dustin Tyler were part of a White House demo day called American Possibilities. There with their team. So a group of people, I see Hunter and Brian, but also includes Kevin Kilgore, Jeff Thrope, Ron Hart, Mike Keith. I already said Brian Smith, but I'll say it again. 30 years ago, they implanted Jeanette Green with a neuroprosthesis system. And look, at those guys are all standing there still. And they presumably Jeanette still has a functioning neuroprosthesis. So it's a major, major accomplishment. It kind of shows what we can do with our technology. So congratulations. A friend of ours, obviously a good old friend and a longtime advocate for FES, Jennifer French, wins the Nielsen Visionary Award prize. I'm not going to get used to this. Crane's Business. Crane's Cleveland Business featured Hunter Peckham and Kevin Kilgore regarding their upper extremity neuroprosthesis device. It was a featured article, and again, this is a nice way to get the word out about our activities. So congratulations, Hunter and Kevin. There are a lot more honors that I could talk about, a lot. I decided I didn't want to take 2 hours of your time. So you guys all know of your own accomplishments over the past year, so don't feel left out. Okay. The future. Okay. First thing I want to talk a little bit about is for people that have VA connections. So this is from the Office of Research and Development. The research enterprise at the VA has been pretty much completely reorganized. And I just want to give you just a brief outline of how that's going to go. There are probably 2 hours of excruciating details that we could talk about, but if you're interested in that, we'll have to have another session. I know not all of you necessarily are. So, without going through the history, I have slides that the ORD sent, and I think I've skipped the first 43 of them or something. Okay, because they're about the past and why, why and how, but this is what. So this is their slide. This is what they're doing. So when they have to do their research, they used to be divided like into health sciences and rehab and basic laboratory and clinical health systems. And each one of them kind of did their own thing, and like 3 of them might be doing traumatic brain injury stuff, uncoordinated. And anyway, this was starting to bother them. And so they are now going to organize by areas of veterans' needs and not by these pre-established areas of kind of disciplinary areas, okay? So there's going to be I shouldn't say there will be, starting October 1st, this is already in place, okay? So there are 2 kinds of portfolios. There are broad portfolios. So the best thing I can tell you to think of is the old Rehabilitation Research and Development Service. That has been slightly renamed into Rehabilitation Research Development and Translation, and it's a broad portfolio. So they're going to include studies across the spectrum, and they're going to take research all the way through from the very beginning into implementation. So and that's like where our center's going to be. People that want to do, CDA, Career Development Awards, or Research Career Scientist kinds of things. Those for the rehab world will be there. So a lot of it stays the same, but some of it's different. Okay, so that's one. The other one are actively managed portfolios. And this is much more kind of a DARPA mechanism, or ARPA-H, where they have areas that are considered urgent or need quick response, and so those are going to be like focused on. Well, I'll show you in a second. Focused on specific topics, regardless of the kind of application. There might be a basics lab thing. There might be a rehab thing. There might be a health sciences thing, but they're all going to be coordinated. Oops. So it just restates that the current services are replaced by portfolios of need. Actively managed portfolios and broad portfolios are the new organization. This is the way it looks right now. The light blue things, the first 5 are identified actively managed portfolios, traumatic brain injury, suicide prevention, pain and opioid use disorders, military exposures, and precision oncology. Those have been identified as they're going to have their own money, and they're going to make their, it's going to be, the program manager has a plan. Okay. The 4 on the right are broad portfolios, and they look, not surprisingly, pretty much like the old services did. Okay, with some changes, but I highlighted in red the rehabilitation, research, development, and translation. That's where the center will live. That's where many of us with our merit reviews will live. Okay, there are other ones as well, for those that are interested. There's a lot of detail. I'm not going to go into it, but there's going to be very, very broad call for proposals that are then augmented for each one of these portfolios by what are called notices of special interest. So they're sort of like addendums to the call for proposals for specific applications. Okay. Opportunities. What are we going to do in the coming year? So I think strategic planning, we started last year. We got off to a quick start, and it's been kind of a slow middle. We're trying to work with our institutional partners, and we've made some progress. We've made some good progress, but we need to get that settled first. We need to align with them. The big picture is the FES Center is funded through 2027, and this nominally means probably we have to submit a renewal proposal in 2026. I say nominal because everything's new at the VA, so I guess that's the way they're going to do it. That's the way they've done it in the past. Like I said, we're enhancing collaboration with our consortium members in areas of mutual interest. So I think one thing that we have to focus on in the coming years is what do our partners want to do, not just what can we extract from them, which has frankly been what a lot of people have done from the FES Center, but what can we do for them to make us a lot more interesting to them if we can help them in their needs. The FES Center can invest in these areas of need, but it has to be a strategic. We don't have a lot of money to do that. So when we invest, it has to be in a clearly identified area of need, something that's not been addressed, some new emerging thing that we can do. But it's there, okay? We need to talk about the structure. We talked about it at our retreat. We talked about it in the executive committee. How do we structure? We have a lot of people in a lot of different places, and our executive committee sometimes is not representative of everything, and we're trying to mix technical things with administrative things with clinical things, and we may want to break that up a little bit without losing the cohesion. Okay. The FES Center can also help us, all of you, with programmatic funding opportunities. So what I mean by programmatic things, there are new mechanisms at NIH for multi-investigator big projects that I think we've been a little bit amiss in not tackling a little harder. Everybody puts their head down in their own labs and works hard on their problem, and we can do a lot of good if we look a little wider. ARPA-H, has anybody submitted an ARPA-H proposal or been part of one? One. People are eating our lunch at ARPA-H proposals, okay? Other schools, they advertise, gloat. So we need to work at that. These mechanisms, you just don't decide 2 months ahead of time that you want to do it. This might take 6 months or a year, but we can help. You have to put a team together. You have to hone these things to perfection. They can't be thrown together at the last minute. So we can help there. We can help in generating a cohesive team that can put something like this together. We can point you to people that should be on your team. and we can help you through the submission. Okay? So that's it. This is a slide I made for a meeting I was at recently that wanted a slide of the FES Center. Everything on there I've already talked about. But again, it was a great year, a great year. And I'm really looking forward to the next year. And thank you all for listening.